For this example, we are going to look at the problem and it states convert 756.2 millimeters to meters. And what you will notice is that there is no given equivalence here. Now, in cases where the equivalence is not given, this is where you must have the prefixes memorized. Millimeter and meter. That's the metric units. And those metric units are only different from each other based on the prefix here, okay? We learn milli. Milli stands for 1,000. Millimeters, there are 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. So that is part of those prefixes that you were required to have memorized. So then when you see millimeters converting to meters, you think to yourself, what did I learn milli means? And how can I relate that to this conversion? So therefore you can write the conversion is, or the equivalence is 1,000 millimeters is equal to 1 meter. So that tells us that there is 1,000 millimeters per 1 meter, or we can say 1 meter has 1,000 millimeters, okay? So we have two different ways that we can communicate the equivalence in conversion factors. Okay, so remember the difference. We have equivalence and we have conversion factors. Okay, so while you are still learning dimensional analysis, I want you to get in the practice of thinking about the two different conversion factors for each equivalence, okay? Eventually, as you practice more, you're going to just set up the conversion, canceling units diagonally without having to think about all of the conversion factors. But for right now, just as practice, we're going to follow this way. So 756.2 millimeters. This is our given value. Okay, and this is our desired unit is meters. Okay, so we always start with the given 756.2 millimeters. Okay, now if we have millimeters here, we want to create a conversion factor that's going to cancel millimeters on the bottom and give us meters on top. That's what's diagonal here. Okay, so which one of these has meters on top and millimeters on the bottom? We have that conversion factor that we will use. 1,000 millimeters on the bottom, 1 meter on top. Okay, so this is by definition. Okay, there's 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. Okay, so when we're going to do this calculation, we're going to consider the significant figures of the given value. Okay, and also don't forget, cancel your units so you can keep track. What's left is meters. Okay, so then now when we do the math here, we're going to do 756.2 times 1 divided by 1,000. When we divide this value by 1,000, your calculator would tell you 0.756 and then the units would now be meters. Okay, so you will notice here that I've written a 0 in front of the decimal place here. Is this 0 significant? Following our significant figure rules, This 0 is just a placeholder. So remember, you do not start counting until you reach the first non-zero. So here we will see 1, 2, 3, 4 significant figures. I'm just in the habit of writing a 0 there as the placeholder for the ones place. But if you write your answer as 0.7562 meters, that is also acceptable. So that was just a reminder of our significant figure rules. And remember to review those rules anytime that you're uncertain about it as you're practicing, okay? Because you have those notes available to you as you practice. And with more practice, you're going to recognize that it will become a lot easier to apply those significant figures to each one of your problems.